was their most recent 2-0 win over Man City that seems to have caught everyone's attention, with a commanding performance both on and off the ball. It's all down to the simple idea of double width. The concept essentially boils down to keeping two players ready on the opposite flank and in the same vertical channel. That way, when your team switches play, you instantly have the support to push forward, and you could potentially overload the opposition's fullback with a simple overlapping run from your own fullback. But the way Thomas Frank is using his fullbacks is opening up different spaces that allows other players to flourish. And because the majority of teams now adopt a man-oriented press, having two players far away from the ball can create big gaps through the middle for other players to move into. This wide shape right from the start of the move makes it difficult for the opponent to close off every pass. If they man-mark the opposition, which is arguably the most common approach, Spurs will move out wide and go down the line, where Richarlison and Sarr can also move over to help out. This idea is visible in the goal that made it 1-0 against Man City. And from here, Spurs move Richarlison and Sarr over to this flank, and an excellent flick forward into Richarlison, who beats the offside trap, leaves him in acres of space to push forward and find Johnson in the centre. And speaking of defensive shapes, Spurs have also demonstrated an excellent aggressive man-oriented system, and is one of the main reasons why they've been so successful in their opening games. In their 2-0 win against Man City, the initial press was mostly done with the left winger Brennan Johnson and the striker Richarlison picking up the centre-back. With all the other players latching on in midfield and the defensive line, this gave Man City little time to build from the back. And as they attempted to circulate possession, even the centre-back Van de Ven pushed all the way up the pitch to close down any vacant City player. Obviously, this is an extreme scenario as it was a pretty blatant error from the goalkeeper. But the principle remains the same, and by pressing the keeper at an angle and closing down the only player that can pass it into the defensive weak spot, there aren't many options for the opponent. In situations where the opponents are able to hold on to possession and drag Spurs further and further up the pitch, it can create these big gaps in front of the defensive line. This system being implemented by Thomas Frank makes Spurs unpredictable and hard to contain. But this same expansiveness they use in attack could lead to some defensive vulnerabilities if their press isn't successful. If Spurs find a way to balance these two approaches, then Thomas Frank's revival of this old school tactic could be one of the most interesting elements of this Premier League season.